In this video, I'll first answer the question, that being whether or not I still use AutoLISP in 2025. And the answer, of course, is yes. As far as using the code I've already programmed, it's integral to my workflow in my day job, so I use it almost every day that I'm working. As far as programming new code goes, right now I only have AutoCAD LT, and unfortunately LT doesn't include the built-in code editor that AutoCAD Full does, and I find my development speed is much slower using Visual Studio Code. Some people actually prefer it even if they have AutoCAD Full, but me, I do find it inferior. So I do some coding like you see in front of you, more just stuff that I have to do or quick scripts to complete one-off tasks a little bit faster, but I don't take on any new projects or create any new commands from scratch. When I'm like this, I usually wait till I have an AutoCAD Full license or I have a big project I need to do, so I might just buy 1 month of AutoCAD Full, but is what it is. Yeah, so the next part of this video will be showing you some tips on using Visual Studio Code. Like you can see here, that's one of them. And then at the end of the video, I will complain a bit, but also show you an example of a more modern code editor that gets a lot of love and a lot of improvements from the development team, this being the script editor in Rhino 3D. This, of course, is a 3D program that has a perpetual license. It improves at quite a rapid pace. So it's a bit of a shame that AutoCAD decided not to include the built-in editor with AutoCAD LT, and that we just don't see that pace of development or improvement even with our hefty subscription fees. So with the intro out of the way, let's move on. So next, I'm just going to show you kind of what I was working on and how I debug code when I don't have access to the Visual Lisp editor. So this was a situation where I had to turn all these were all polylines, and when I brought them into Rhino 3D, they just weren't, and this is a different project in front of you right now, but the polylines were just making really ugly objects that were becoming too memory intensive, kind of. There's more to it. It's hard to explain in just a few words, but that's not too important. What is that I just want to show you how I would go about debugging code when, yeah, I don't have access to the features in that built-in debugger in AutoCAD. So the first thing I'll show you that I do is I do these prompts, and you'll notice if you do have my AutoLISP suite that you'll notice that I sometimes accidentally leave these in. I might have check instead of debug right here. But when you have this here, what it's going to do is show up on your command line. And yeah, you can actually type Lisp into your command line. So you just see this as the code runs. So what I'll do is I'll just plop those throughout the routine. One quick warning is that if you have an if statement and you have do this, do that, and you want to throw this in there, always remember to add that program that allows more than one statement in one of these condition blocks, right? So it looks something like that, right? And this would be basically your or else. But yeah, so that works pretty good for me. The next thing I'm going to show you is something that works wonders, but be very, very careful with it. You can wrap your code with an error check, catch the error message, and display that on the screen, right? That works really, really well. But the drawback there is that if something goes wrong, it's way more likely to crash AutoCAD. So if you're going this far, don't be using it on a file that you're actually working on, or just be prepared that this takes away some of the safety of AutoLISP. Because if you don't use this, it's very hard for AutoLISP to break your drawing, mangle your code, or make a bad object. But as soon as you take that away, a lot of things can go wrong. But yeah, so from within the code editor, that's basically all I do. Now let's go into AutoCAD, and I have this. This is just multi-line text. I think it could be regular text too, but I'm going to put a field in here in just a little bit. So what we're going to do is, remember, you can type AutoLISP into the command line. We're going to do setQ testvar. Okay, we'll do that. Now, what do I got to do here? Let's open this. Let's go insert field. Okay, wow, that was a bit of a side quest there. I actually had to go on Google and figure out how to do this. So in AutoCAD full, when you stick a field into, or when you right click and go into a field, there's something in here, I forget exactly where it is, for AutoLISP variables, and you can actually stick those into your text. And it's just missing from AutoCAD LT, I think. So I was looking for it forever, and then I realized, like, yeah, it's because they don't include every piece of AutoLISP, like the built-in editor's missing. So a way around that is just to, well, I copied this off the message boards directly, but just change this part to my variable. So I think what I'll do is I'll just copy this, and then from inside Visual Studio Code, you'll just have that. I had to make some boilerplate for myself eventually, but let's just see. The end of the routine's right here, so the beginning is up here. We could just go like so. We could put that there. Put this testvar 2. So as you make your variables within your code, you just put these pieces of text up here. I'll copy that to my clipboard. Go back into AutoCAD. We'll do another setQ testvar 2. Our second variable. So I think these have to be text. Maybe we'll try that out pretty quickly. Okay, so we'll go enter. Now you'll need to do this either in Notepad or from within Visual Studio Code itself, because you won't be able to edit this once it's turned into a field within the text. So let's go to the second line, paste it right there. But let's try it out. Let's do testvar dash integer. So I'll copy that, go into Notepad. So if you don't know why I'm doing this already, it's because when you run your code, it's going to change all of these variables. Oh, so it worked. Right on. So let's do Let's make sure I wrote that right. Yeah, we're good to go. Let's go back here. Ooh, it doesn't like that, does it? Yeah, so I guess there is a limit to what it will display. I think a reel would work. Let's just try one more. Let's do So let me double check that I didn't type something in incorrectly there. Yeah, so you're able to display your variables, and that's kind of useful. What you'll have to do is take all this right here, or the variables you want to track, go Control X, throw them there for safekeeping. Because remember, this is if you put anything here, it declares that as a local variable, meaning when this function finishes, it'll just clear that, right? So if you run your routine, there's no connectivity between VS Code and AutoCAD, AutoCAD LT. AutoCAD Full, you have that, but I never found that very useful. So even in AutoCAD Full, if I didn't have the built-in editor, I'd probably still do this because I just don't, I don't like animating the code or going line by line. Stepping through the code has never really worked well for me because it's slow. I'd rather just either manually pause it or throw these in. Because most of the stuff I do in AutoLISP is just quick commands, sometimes scripts and whatever. But yeah, so this will give you a way to track all of your variables. Not quite as good as the built-in editor in AutoCAD Full, where you can put breakpoints and stuff like that. But if you do have to get by, this will do, I guess. But yeah, just remember that if you're going in here and looking for those fields, maybe you can tell me I'm wrong. Maybe I just missed it. But God, I spent a good 5 minutes trying to pick it out of there because it usually jumps right out at me. And I realize I think it's just missing. But you can manually enter it in. Okay, so I don't know if I'm missing anything else here. I just, before I end this video, I just want to show you what a modern built-in code editor should look like. And this is a script editor for Rhino 3D, and it's in version 8. It's undergone some really big improvements. It's not quite perfect, but compared to what I'm using, this thing is an absolute treat to use, and they're making it better and better each release. So Rhino is, as you may or may not know, a perpetual license. So if they can do this much dev from one release to another, and it just blows my mind that I'm paying about maybe $75 US per month or whatever it is. It's about 100 Canadian per month for AutoCAD LT, and you get zero development. In fact, there's sometimes regressions or the dumb messages coming up and trying to change things on you. Like, it's just not fun. But this kind of is fun, and it's nice to see it improve. And one thing that it does have is when I do RS, let's do object color. You can just hit tab, open this up, and it gives me the directions on how to use the actual function. It says object ID, color equals none, gives me a nice little example there. I can actually find that here, object color. So I know that it's going to be in here, but I can search through it. But yeah, it's AutoLISP. The arguments for functions aren't always in a similar order. Sometimes the object, I'm sure that sometimes they get a little bit jumbled. It's not too bad compared to most languages, but it does get you sometimes where you'll get an error message because it's not the right type of object or whatever, or not the right type of value. But yeah, this you can actually look at how to use these functions. And this is Python, of course, so it is a friendlier, more widely used language that does benefit greatly from AI because there's so many examples online. But yeah, so this has the autocomplete. I think if I hover, does it give me... Yeah, it gives me a little bit of help. Let's do VLA at. Yeah, I guess it does. I didn't notice this before, that if you hover, it does give you a bit more information. So that's good, I guess, but still, it's not enough to really make me believe that this is better than the built-in code editor in AutoCAD Full. So yeah, it's just me going from something that works really good for me to this, which in some cases, unless I'm doing really simple code, is about 4 times slower for me. And then when I go in Rhino, I get to use this, and it's just makes it hard to, jump back into the AutoLISP. But yeah, I still do AutoLISP. I still have the ability to fix and edit the code. The code I've already written, luckily, is pretty easy to edit. So yeah, 100%. I still use AutoLISP extensively in 2025, and when I do have a business case for it, I upgrade to AutoCAD Full, sometimes just for a month. Sometimes I get away with just doing the free trial, and then I crank out a bunch of code for maybe a client needs a quick project or something. But yeah, it's just amazing to me that a code that has just been neglected by the company for 15 years is still doing so strong. And if we had something like this for AutoLISP, then I think it could really make a comeback. So if any of the AutoCAD alternatives, AutoCAD clone companies are listening, you could get a lot of customers if you made a really good IDE that's built into your CAD program. So that's all for this video. I hope it was insightful, and thanks very much for watching.